Well, we are now at Parque Nacional Iguazu, which is the falls, the cataratas. And this is the entrance over here. And even as I'm here early in the morning, there are the voices of Americans. Of course, this is a pretty popular spot. Probably after I get out of Buenos Aires, I will be more in the locale. Just for the fun of it, this is just a quick scan of the visitor center interpretation layout. And it's nicely done. Interesting that unlike France, which also relies on American tourism or would like to, this country so far is making a considerable effort to ensure that everything they say in Spanish is also said in English. Presumably these are some of the animales that we will see today. I think that's a caracas. Seldom seen in the United States, maybe in the extreme southwest. The exciting, wonderful thing about traveling is every second just about is brand new because you've never been there before. As soon as I got off the plane yesterday, spite of having been traveling for something like 18 hours, there was an exuberance that I seldom see, and it so much contrasted with the malaise that I was developing in the States before I finally left. Even if I left with my usual nervosa, anxiety. This picture indicates the occupation of this area by cazadores y recolectors, the hunters and gatherers 10,000 years ago. And apparently they're not pictographs, but the opposite of that, which I can't think of right now. Petroglyphs. They followed the rivers, presumably in search of the promised land that their gods in their dreams had promised them. It's always interesting how we try to picture a people we didn't know and have very little evidence of. For example, the houses look very relatively modern compared, for example, to the evolution of residential structures with the Anasazi. An interesting perception. The Guarani knew he had to die and was not afraid of death, but his ideal was those people who, on reaching a certain level of perfection, without dying, would pass straight on to that land without evil, where plants grow abundantly and without needing attention, and where feasting and dancing never cease and no one gets tired. Of course, like elsewhere, the Spanish came to wreck their brand of religion, the justification for power. But apparently in 1767, the Spanish were expulsed. This panel represents the tremendous contribution to the lives and economy of Argentina over time of wood, la madera. These dioramas represent 3 stages in the history of the forest. The first one we saw, of course, that relatively small family unit occupation here of the larger farm. Perhaps more people. And this looks like the industry of lumber. Of course, the road at the bottom has now become paved. Industrial. Even today, tremendous reliance apparently on wood. Although they've got quite a phenomenal number of national parks, so perhaps that's a sustainable conversion of reliance on wood. This is my first trail, a green trail, which should take me to the falls, the gentleman told me. It's interesting. I'll leave the camera on while I talk. The people may chuckle at my faltering efforts at the McDonald's in Jackson to talk to the people in Spanish. And the one phrase it took me probably 3 or 4 months to learn is que tenga un buen día, which means have a good day. But when you get here and you can say that fluidly and with confidence and sincerity, people appreciate it. There's the benefit of a small step leading into something more useful. The folks at the interpretive booth I stopped at suggested I go this way to avoid people, or at least the masses of people. I'm leaving the camera on because this is what I see. Certainly your eyes cannot adjust, or the camera cannot adjust in the same way as your eyes will to the jerkiness, but that's the brakes. I hear noises in the deep jungle beside me. Some of it rain dripping, but some of it monkeys. There's one. He's about ready to figure out what he can get his hands on my camera. This is some kind of slow-moving, almost Okefenokee swamp-like river flowing through this part of the jungle. All around me the sounds of birds and insects, but not the colossal hum of a 747 that I heard on the border of Mexico and Guatemala. This is very much like you might find it early in the morning in the United States somewhere. Just the sounds are different somehow. At this point on my walk, the trail intersects the free train that takes me to another part of the falls. I think I can probably stop it here if I come back this way. Look at the mix of colors on this. Red with a brilliant red and black and white swirl pattern, but if you can get them to open up and see the blue on the inside. Some unique and pretty looking flowers. Long spiky petals, it looks like. These are called Coati, I think, or I think as in Arizona we call them Cotamundi. They remind me of a ringtail cat, of course, with that, which is not really a cat, and that I don't think it's the Cotamundi either. With that ring tail, the tight, very sharp nose defines it as the Cotamundi, at least in my limited knowledge. Now we'll continue off to the left as the train takes off to wherever it's going. Just to orientate ourselves, we came from the green circle And on the upper left corner of the green circle is the entrance, the interpretive center, down along the path that goes from the center, or from the bottom of the green circle to the railroad train. That's where we crossed, tried to get the butterfly, and now we're taking the trail that goes down about in the middle of the picture so we can go to these blue areas and see the falls. These guys, as you can see, are incredibly intimidated by my presence. I am, of course, the first human being they've ever seen.